Welcome back, duelists, to the Tier 3 or lower Generation Force Archetype Tournament. I'm your lovely host, Jason, and sadly I'm not joined by anyone on commentary today because I am re-recording a replay, sadly, because the original audio got messed up due to a lot of background noise, and sadly I can't do much about that until I move into my new apartment, so you might even hear some during the live audio recordings, but that should be done in a couple weeks. So, down here, we have round 1, Joshua 333, who is on Batterymen, versus Suicide X13, aka Dan at the top, who is on Gustos, my personal favorite deck. Anyway, let's get into it. Forgive my clicking, you're going to hear it a little bit. A draw offer has been made and revoked twice. We have a couple watchers. We have Instafluffs, the Fabled player, and Jason Notice Me, the Worm player here, also known as Noel and Adrian. And Josh is going to start off. So, of note, his Batteryman list isn't really playing the standard OTK stuff, like Inferno Reckless Summon. It's more so controlling kind of deck, you could say. He plays a couple traps, but otherwise he's still going for the overall short circuit play. He's going to set Microcell, which I'll pause right here because it's the lifeblood of the deck. When it's flipped, you can summon a level 4 Lord Batteryman from your deck, and after it's destroyed, you draw a card. So this gets you the summon, which is a possible trigger to other things. Lets you control a Batteryman after your opponent has attacked you. Bunch of things, plus it recycles itself, which is very, very important. And of note, he's going to set the Threatening Roar, Solemn Judgment, and why not go over the hands right now? He also opened Trunade, Battery Charger, which is a Batteryman Monster Reborn, but it costs 500 life points, and Batteryman AA, which helps you OTK when the time comes. So for every other Batteryman AA on the board, he gains 1,000. Or sorry, for every Batteryman AA. So if he's summoned, he's already 1,000. And the same works in defense mode, but that's not really used, believe it or not. Now for a deck I know a lot more about, Gustos. So Gustos is kind of a recruiter deck that wants to basically go through its recruiters, make some synchro plays, and then recycle them back in for pluses. So here we have double Gusto Eagle, which is a recruiter for level 4 lower non-tuner. We have Gusto Goldo, which special summons a level 2 or lower Gusto. So, of note, usually use Goldo to summon Eagle. There's another option too called Window, which we don't see here. She's the non-tuner. We have MST, pretty standard. We have Solemn Warning, good summon negate. And we have Contact with Gusto, which is one of the recycling aspects. You can cycle back 2 Gusto cards and target a card your opponent controls. You shuffle them back, and then you pop the card. Pretty good removal, honestly, in the deck. Alright, we're going to start off with an MST on the Threatening Roar with a Chain. That's a bad MST target. Part of the reasons you don't like blind MSTs here. Dan's going to go set Warning, though, and set Goldo and pass. Strong play, because Gustos can basically loop infinitely, almost. We're going to see a Batteryman AA summoned, a Microcell flipped, and sadly, the Microcell is going to get Warninged. Dan's going to pay 2k, but he knows the importance of the Microcell. I believe they tested together, or I tested against them with one of their decks before, so they know the importance of it. Josh is going to set a Batteryman Power Pack, which is basically a Monster Reborn for 2 Batterymen if they're in your grave, which is pretty useful, because you want to get 3 on board for Short Circuit, which, if it comes up, you'll read the card and be like, wow, that's pretty cool. Meanwhile, Dan is going to summon Psychic Commander and flip his Goldo, and I'm assuming get into the battle phase. That's exactly what's happening here. Dan is a big purveyor of playing these recruiter decks, and just summoning the recruiters and just attacking whenever he can. Just playing recruiters and traps works pretty well. Josh is going to top deck what I call the Big D, which is Batteryman D, and you have to attack him as an attack target, basically, but his real effect is that he has 1900 defense. So he basically walls off Dan's board right now pretty well. I see a blind MST on the Portable Battery Pack, which is a shame because Josh won't get to use that for later. And we're going to see the Eagle come down. Right now, all tuners on Josh's board. And sadly, Dan is going to end up taking 500 damage here. But yeah, he can't out the D. That is some good defense. Now, Josh wrong one of the boss monsters here. Batteryman Industrial Strength. You can banish 2 Batterymen from your grave, and then you can remove a Thunder type from your grave to destroy a monster and a spell card. So kind of a Chaos Sorcerer-esque effect. No banishing, but it does get an extra pop. He can activate it right now, summoning-wise, but he does not have a 3rd Thunder to banish. So I think he's probably going to pass. No, he's not. He's going to go aggro. He's going to summon that thing, and, I mean, hey, it is a 2600 attacker. He's going to get in there and attack over the commander. Dan will take the 12. And we're going to pass back to him. Ooh, that sucks for Josh. Dan's going to top pick the Caius. I wonder if he'll bait this Judgment. My guess is yes. Going to activate it. And yeah, Judgment immediately. I mean, we know what the target was. Oh, I remember this. I don't know if I stopped him here. But actually, Gusto's very, very fun deck. I love the deck so much. Even in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It's fun to play. But here's a problem. Gusto Goldo is a when effect. And if it says when instead of if, that basically means it's going to miss timing 90% of the time. So when you tribute Goldo, when you synchro with Goldo, no matter what, it misses timing. It does not get its effect. And it kind of sucks. If it's destroyed by battle, though, or a card effect like Dark Hole, then it will work. But not a tribute summon. So I think Dan just went for that. I think I correct him. I'm not 100% sure. Let me fast forward a little bit. I do correct him. Okay, yeah, because you cannot do that. I just know that personally from playing the deck in paper. All right, let's let this play. He's going to summon Batteryman AA, which is just 1,000 attack. He's going to get in. Attacking the Eagle. Eagle's going to float into window. Batteryman Industrial Strength is going to attack over that. He's going to float again. This is the third recruiter, which gets any tuner. So usually go Goldo or Eagle. Dan is not hitting what he needs to right now. That's actually a very good top deck with the Goldo and the Dark Hole. Because now the board gets wiped, and he does get Goldo's effect this time. Let's see if he goes for another Winda. Yeah, Winda with 1,000. Winda is typically the worst. It has to be destroyed by an opponent's attacking monster to get its effect. And that really sucks, because if you creature swap the card, it actually does not get its effect, because it's not an opponent's attacking monster. It's very weirdly worded, and it hit the archetype a bit, at least when it was like more playable back in 2011, 2012. It was never like meta or anything, but it was fun. Josh is going to set down Torrential, activate Battery Charger. He's going to special summon the Big D out again. He cannot actually special summon this card, okay, because it cannot be special summoned except by. I was hoping that it was somewhat possible. Ooh, that's a nice one. Then he's going to flip the contact with Gusto. Shuffle back 2 Gustos to pop the Batteryman D. Simple enough. Dan's going to get in for 12, set bottomless. As of now, we've still yet to see the main real plus engine of Gustos, but I believe that's a brick from Josh, unless Dan summons a monster. Dan does not summon a monster. That should be game. Yep. And we're going on to game 2. I'm going to pull up their deck lists here. Let's take a look. First at Batterymen. Here it is. I'll probably put the deck code in the description, but let's look at the sideboard. Dark Hole. I like Dark Hole. It's okay. You just have to know what's a Dark Hole. Make sure you're not Dark Holing a face-down monster or anything, because then the Gustos will get their effects and everything like that. Inferno Reckless Summon. Dan is heavily on traps here, so I do not recommend Inferno Reckless Summon. That's a little bit 2 balls to the wall. Plus, against Gusto, the Gusto player is also going to get 2 extra summons, meaning that they also just get more recruiters, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad, because it does get rid of the cards in their deck and it breaks the recruiting chain, but not amazing. MST is good. I like that. I like removal. Return from the Different Dimension. This card seems okay. A bit unnecessary, I think. But Royal Decree. I really do like the Royal Decree here, because Dan is on, I believe, 9 traps, which is pretty large in this format. Gravity Bind, I don't think matters. Watt Giraffe, I don't think that matters either. I think this is for the Watt matchup, just to basically do what the Watt player's doing. And Grand Mole, Grand Mole gets out of synchros, but Dan is playing a synchro deck. He just doesn't synchro too often, so who knows how useful this really is. Alright, looking at the Gusto list here, by the way, let me go over real quick. This is the card I was talking about, Calm Serenity of Gusto. You can shuffle back 2 Gusto monsters into the main deck and draw one. This is how you get your recruit engine recycled a bit. And Eagle is actually able to search her, because he summons 1 level 4 lower non-tuner Gusto from deck. But let's get into the side deck. Cyber Dragon, I don't think does much. Can't really go Chimera Tech, because of note, Batterymen are thunder, they are not machines. Lava Golem seems okay. I like the idea of Lava Golem, because it's just used to stall your opponent out. So if he tributes 2 monsters and just, lets the recruiters recruit and just chills while Josh keeps burning. Nobleman, it's okay. It hits the micro cell, it hits the Batteryman D, but I think it's niche if you open it or not. Chain Disappearance is really good if you can hit the Batteryman AA, because that's primarily the way that they OTK. It also can hit Microcell, which is pretty strong too. Debunk, Hand or Grave effects. Josh plays an Honest, but that's not that important. Dust Tornado seems good, knowing that Josh might bring in the Decree, and if Dan can maybe sneak in a Dust Tornado set before the Decree, that can be very important. And lastly, of note, 3 Light Imprisoning Mirror, which you would think is very, very strong against Batterymen. However, in my opinion, it is okay. It negates the activated effect. So if he gets triple Batteryman AA on board, it's still 9k damage. And also for Industrial Strength, it's still a 2600 beater. but it does stop the activations of things like Microcell along the lines of that. So it's not bad, but I don't think it's amazing. But he's still probably going to bring it in, let's be honest, though. All right, without further ado, though, let's get into Game 2. Josh will be taking first, I presume. And he opened up horrible, at least in my opinion. Has a Microcell, which is a good starter, but he has Microcell, Fuel Cell, which we haven't seen yet. You can special it if you control 2 Batterymen, and you contribute a Batterymen to bounce a card your opponent controls. You mainly just use it for the special summon. Batterymen AA, we know. Batterymen AA, we know. And Industrial Strength. So kind of a brick, honestly, in my opinion. You know, on Dan's end, we have a Solemn Warning, a Dust Tornado, an Eagle, a Giant Tornado, and it looks like he did bring in the Lava Golems. So it might just be go for a stall game, if you will. So that's for a little bit. Dan's going to top deck Fiendish Train. He's going to set his Recruiter, Dust Tornado, Solemn Warning, and Fiendish Train. We're going to see a flip Microcell into the Warning. No surprise at all. Very good card to warn. I like how Josh took 2000. That would be quite the good card if Solemn Warning did that. He's going to set Batteryman D, get the wall going. Dan's actually going to summon Calm. This is the first time we're seeing it in an actual game. But he's going to synchro it right away into Catastor. Very strong against Batterymen since they're all light. That will get over the Batteryman D, effect or not. And Josh is going to top deck a Fuel Cell again. But Microcell's set. See what he can do. Catastor goes into Fuel Cell effect. Summons the D. Fuel Cell does get to draw, because of note, when Catastor attacks a face-down defense position, he actually does not trigger his effect immediately because the monster is still face down, and this is the start of the damage step. It's a very weird ruling, but it does come up surprisingly amount of times. Especially if you Book a Moon Catastor, you could still attack over it. And here we see from the draw, I'll wait for Josh to draw for turn before I pause this. Josh top decked Inferno Reckless Summon. So this is a very interesting card. When exactly one monster with 1500 or less attack is special summoned to your field while your opponent controls a face-up monster, you can special summon as many monsters as possible with that same name from your hand, deck, or grave in attack position. And your opponent also gets to do the same with a card they control. So this card's very niche, because your opponent has to control a card. But theoretically, if he could get this Batteryman AA out and special summoned, he could use this, summon 3 more, that's 9,000 damage, and the best part is, Dan can't do anything, because he has no copies of Catastor in his hand, deck, or grave. So at that point, you could probably get in for lots of damage. At this point, it doesn't matter much, because Catastor has an effect, but and I also don't think he could special summon this turn, but just throwing it out there of what would happen. We'll go to the next plays. Josh is going to summon AA, and he's going to special summon Fuel Cell. He's probably going to go for the bounce here. Yeah, he's going to tribute it off, go for the bounce on Catastor, into the Fiendish Chain, which kind of sucks. I wonder what Josh is going to do. Summon another Fuel Cell. And he's going to do the same play to bounce the Catastor. So imagine if XYZs were legal in this format. You could go for M7 or whatever it's called right now. Sadly, we are in Generation Force. Or sorry, right before Generation Force. Dan's going to top deck Light Imprisoning. I bet he wishes he had that last turn. He's going to activate Trunade to get back that Fiendish Train. That's actually a pretty cool play. I do respect that. Knowing that Josh isn't really playing anything. He's going to tribute for a Lava Golem. Now, Lava Golem's a bit of a funny card here. Let me end the turn real quick. Josh can draw. Perfect. So Lava Golem, you tribute 2 monsters your opponent controls. You cannot normal summon or set the turn you do this. And during their standby phase, they take 1,000. So it gets rid of 2 monsters, and they keep burning. It's a lot more useful in with cards you can't remove. He got rid of Fuel Cells, which I mean he couldn't remove, but they're not super powerful or anything. Now, of note here, after speaking with Josh and post-commentary, and so we don't get to hear the interview, Josh thought for some reason that he cannot attack Dan with Lava Golem. So you're going to notice for the rest of this match, maybe at the end, he just doesn't attack with it when he could have won several times over. It's kind of funny. But let's see what happens here. We'll see how it actually ends up. He's going to start his turn, take 1,000 and standby. Summon T-King, attack. And we're going to see a finish on the T-King. Yeah, immediately in the commentary-wise, I was like, oh, he must be playing around Mirror Force. I respect it, but I would have gotten in to stop the life damage. Dan's going to set an MST. Going to take 1,000 again from Josh. Josh is going to summon an AA just to get in. We're going to see Light Imprisoning, which does not stop its effect. And Josh does not attack with Thunder King for some reason. Maybe trying to dodge a D-Prison. And we're now going to see a Recruiter come down, which ends up, kind of stopping this loop of sorts. Or starting the loop of sorts, rather. Josh's going to take another 1,000. I'm sure he's loving that. He's going to tribute Thunder King for Batteryman Charger. When it's normal summon, you can special summon a Batteryman from your deck. And that card gains this card gains 300 attack and defense for each Thunder monster you control. This card buffs up pretty easily. However, that activated effect does not matter because of Light Imprisoning Mirror. But it does put 2100. It's a 2100 monster right now. Sorry, 24, because it counts itself as well. Winda is going to activate. Hit play here. Get an Eagle. Simple enough. Dan's going to draw the second Lava Golem. You gotta love it. And he's going to go for it. It's kind of funny. It'd be real useful if Josh attacked with it, wouldn't it? So Josh is going to take 2k, and I believe this is the play that I remember liking a lot. So Dan's back row is fake. It's an MST and a Dust Tornado. He's going to Monster Reborn the Batteryman AI. He's going to go for the Inferno Reckless Summon. So basically, Dan has to summon all copies of his Eagle, Josh has to summon all copies of his Batteryman AI. And it is mandatory for both players, I believe. Let me double check. Your opponent, yeah, it is mandatory. They do not have a choice. Because part of the requirement is you have to have, your opponent has to have a monster. He gets his 3, and Josh is going to activate the card that carries him in this tournament, I'm sure. Short Circuit. Activate only if you control 3 or more Batterymen. Destroy all cards your opponent controls. And as you see here, Dan's board gets nuked. Eagle only triggers when destroyed by battle. And Josh has 9k on board, ignoring the Lava Golems. And Dan admits defeat. Okay, Dan is going to be taking first with a pretty stellar hand, in my opinion. Bottomless, Fiendish, Light Imprisoning Torrential, with a Calm to reset your recruiters and a recruiter. This is what you want to open if you're playing Gusto, honestly. On Josh's side of it, Batteryman D, the big D, Batteryman AA, Royal Decree, Inferno Reckless, and Charger. This hand seems okay. It's not amazing, but there's a certain card right here in the middle that does seem amazing against this hand, because right now Dan doesn't have any removal. So we're going to start this off. Let me hit play 2. Dan is going to set 4, set a recruiter, and pass. Josh is going to draw an Industrial Strength. Not quite what you want to see right now, but it doesn't also quite matter. Dan's going to top pick Pot of Avarice, currently a dead card. Going to flip a Light Imprisoning, trying to get over the Micro Cell. However, he's going to attack into the big D, take 200. Josh is going to draw Judgment, very strong. Not amazing with his Decree play, kind of a non-bow right there, but hey, Dan removes it. But we are going off to the races. Dan is going to tribute for Charger, which is going to get its effect off. So you get Batteryman AA, which only has 1,000, but he has the Inferno Reckless Summon. So Dan has to summon all copies of his comms, which is really bad, because if you can't shuffle those back, you're going to be quite unhappy. And sadly also, Josh had a Batteryman AA in hand, which is a little bit of a dead draw. Now, of note, you have to special summon an attack. Your opponent does not. So Dan can go on the defense here. And Josh is just going to start attacking over things. This Charger right now is also at, I believe it's plus 1,200. It's at 3k. So it's a pretty big boy. Yeah, definitely Decree is the MVP of this game right now, at least. Definitely when you see the hand Dan had, it's like, oh, I feel confident in this. But now, it's a little iffy. Judgment is set. That'll help out something if Royal Decree ever gets destroyed. Dan's going to draw an E-Telly. Of note here, I think he's going to go for Cataster, it's looking like. Yeah, Cataster seems fine. That's an annoying card to out for Josh. And he has the POA. That's pretty good. So he's going to shuffle back 5 monster cards, and he's going to draw 2. Let's see what he rips. And rep Reborn Tengu and Goldo. This is the first time we've seen Tengu in this matchup, which is pretty sad for Dan. Cataster's going to get in, attack over an AA. That makes all these lower down to 2k, which sucks to be Josh right now. Dan is going to set a Tengu and pass. Does Josh have it? He does not. He has 2 engrave, but so he can summon Industrial Strength, but he can't pop a card, which is pretty weak right now. He's going to charge or attack into the Tengu. I'm honestly not a giant fan of Dan setting Tengu here, thinking about it now, because, looking at the board, Josh is just going to keep attacking the Tengus. So now Tengu is basically gone. Next turn up to Dan, draws a Calm, not as useful anymore because you only have 1 Gusto engrave, but thankfully Dan does have the other recruiter. He's going to attack over another AA. Sadly, this guy's now down to 1k attack. Josh's going to draw the Monster Reborn. So we're going to see the Industrial Strength come out. This card is going to pop a monster and Spell and Trap. I have a feeling it's going to pop Cataster. Josh declaring priority, I assume. Get rid of Fiendish Train. Solid card to hit. And now Josh, I'm going to fast forward this a bit, has to go through the wall of recruiters. And I know it. Yeah, Dan probably wants to end on that card. I think it's a pretty strong one. He's going to go for Calm, shuffle 2 back, draw a Winda. Not where you really want to draw if you already have a recruiter. He's going to get over the AA. I don't fully agree with that play because now Josh has a Thunder to banish from his grave. And now that means that he can pop off the Eagle, and that breaks Dan's recruiting chain, which could lead to an OTK, possibly, based on what's ever in his hand. It doesn't look like that's the case, but I could be wrong. Yeah, activate Industrial Strength. Oh yeah, I guess the Veiler. I forgot about that Tan top deck then, that he plays it. This is also the first time we're seeing that in Tengu. It's pretty funny. So we do lose the activation, but Calm still dies, which I'm not a giant fan of, but okay. And Dan is going to choose, or of note, the key to playing against Gusto, at least back in the day as well as now, it looks like in this format since it's an old format, is don't necessarily attack every recruiter. The Gusto player is trying to manipulate you into attacking certain things so they can get certain monsters out and make different plays. So maybe he has a 4-star in hand and he's going to summon the Goldo so he can go for Black Rose next turn. If he attacked Eagle right there, he probably would have just went for the Calm, you know what I mean? Like, they always loop into each other, so you have to be really careful about what you actually attack and what you don't attack. So Josh not attacking here, very, very strong. Dan is going to end up setting the Winda, and I think pass back. Josh is going to top deck a Fuel Cell, which is pretty good, because it's a free special. He's going to choose to pitch it instead. Get out the Batteryman D. I'm not quite sure why. Unless I'm missing something. I guess he could just Monster Reborn. Oh, I see. He just wanted to get one engrave. I think that's fine. I think that's just neat. He's going to hit the Judgment, which definitely sucks for Dan if that decree ever gets removed. So Industrial Shrink's going to attack into the Winda. I'm just going to get a Gusto Tuner. I'm going to go for the Goldo. Attack over the Goldo. Into the window. And of note, basically, it's fine to attack there because there's no way that Dan can end on a Calm with what Recruiter was out. And you never want them to add on a Calm because if your opponent getting an extra draw, who knows what it could be. Big one being Dark Hole. Josh is going to pass it back, and ironically, Dan's going to draw Dark Hole. That's going to wipe the board, which is not super ideal. Thank God Josh has a Reborn to recover. And a Short Circuit. It's a little short-lived, sadly. Reborn on the Charger. Charger has to be normal summon to get its effect off, but it's still a 2100 beater, putting Dan on a 3-turn clock. Another Light Imprisoning top deck, not what you want to see right now. Another Decree, that is probably what you want to see for more protection. And now, all of a sudden, Dan has 1 draw left. And Jen's going to draw Chain Disappearance, giving the match to Josh. A bit unexpected based on what that first game was. And also the second game, not knowing you can attack with Lava Golem. But yeah, in the end, it's looking like it's going to be Josh. So he's going to proceed to the next round with a win, and Dan is going to proceed with a loss. Sadly, I don't have the, what do you call it, the winner's interview because of the scuffed audio. But I do remember Josh basically saying, like, yeah, I kind of figured out you don't attack into the recruiters. It was good to see, because I know Josh, I don't think tested against Gusto, but he's a smart player if you could figure it out. And Dan, of note, Sally, although he just took a loss, he'll be end up commentating a lot of future matches with me. He seems to be my primary co-commentator. But I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you like this format with the hand shown in the replay. I can also add another commentator on here instead of the live recordings. So yeah, let me know what you like, and hopefully you'll see the next replay, or rather, next game tomorrow. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that usual stuff. And I'll see you next time, duelists. Have a good one.